Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show for you. All right, yeah, Bama loses 9 players in 15 minutes. And the center that had trouble snapping the ball, he's obviously part of that. And the Vols are looking really good for a 5-star quarterback that they've been interested in for quite a while. So let's get right into this show. But you know what? Before I get started, I might need a little bit of help. Hey, Peyton, Carl, help me out a little bit, okay?
Omaha!
Thanks, guys. And this is in Athlon Sports. Talks about how Bama lost 9 players in 15 minutes. It talks about how all 9 went out in the span of, gosh, that's amazing. I don't know how that wound up being 15 minutes. And, of course, a lot of those players were waiting to see whether or not they made it to the national championship game. And that happens with the 4 teams that make the playoff. A lot of players don't enter the transfer portal because they want to win a natty. They've got an opportunity. So a lot of that gets pushed forward. And we're seeing a lot of what's happening with college football with all these transfers and the portal, NIL money, etc. All these teams that used to be able to stockpile all these great talents, 5 stars and 4 stars on their bench, can't do that anymore because there's no longer the penalty of sitting out a year if you transfer. And that's making it really tough on Georgia and Alabama, for example. Georgia lost 5 stars, for example, this year in the portal because they don't want to sit on the bench. Alabama's got some 5 stars leaving as well, and they'll have even more because, look, if you're at Alabama, you're either a 4 or 5 star. They don't even bother with 3 stars to really speak of. So the stockpiling of depth and why that matters, it's like, yeah, they're still having great recruiting classes. They'll still have plenty of 5 stars, but here's the problem. A 5-star freshman is way different than a 5-star sophomore or junior that's already been in the program. They've been in the weight program. They've learned the systems, and they've gotten experience. Even if they played in limited roles, they've still gotten experience. Now you're putting out a true freshman who, even if they're a 5-star, if you throw them out there, they're going to make mistakes, not like a sophomore or a junior. So it's really starting to pull the top down, and it's raising the middle. And we're starting to have a lot of parity in college football, which I think is terrific, especially with the 12-team playoff coming up. You know, we're going to start seeing a lot of teams win national championships that haven't had an opportunity because it's been like a 4 or 5 team club, and Alabama and Georgia being the top 2 who have been taking about 90% of the natties. Well, I'm sick of that personally. I'm sure you are too, unless you're an Alabama or Georgia fan. If you are, then you probably loved it. Well, we don't. And here it goes through the list. Talks about Eli Holston. He was a very top recruit. They had a bunch of top recruits. All these guys are 4 and 5 stars. And the biggest one is Seth McLaughlin. He's the guy that had trouble with all the snaps. We saw that in the semifinal game, and it really wore out the Alabama fans. They have not been happy with the bad snaps. I think they sort of blame that for the loss. And I'm going to show you a YouTuber who actually, I enjoy his content. I think he's very entertaining, and he will say things that a lot of people won't. It's one of the reasons why I like his channel. But anyway, this is Matt Be Great, and here's what he had to say about it. I don't think he's gotten over it yet.
Film I've continued to watch the past couple of days, and the more I've thought about it, the more I just get pissed off thinking about it. How can we not snap the football? Don't get it. If someone in the comment section has a logical explanation, please, I'm begging you, fill me in. But I'll tell you what, your boy Matt has never snapped a football day in his life, and I promise you, it's not that hard. And that's what baffles me. Seth McLaughlin, whatever you want to call him, this guy practices this every single day, and he couldn't do it. And F it, man. F it. I didn't want to do this, but drastic times calls for drastic measures. Bald Randy's coming out. And you probably have no idea what's going on. Look. I'm telling you, it ain't that hard.
Now, I've seen him do this before. He'll get outside the middle of the night, like 3 in the morning, and throw like a 30-yard pass just to prove it can be done. So anyway, I guess he's going to prove whether or not you can hike a ball and how hard it is.
I'm going to show y'all it ain't that hard either. And y'all know, if I'm busting out this helmet, it's got to be important. We're going on Nebraska sucks too. All right, breaking the huddle, getting up. All right, checking, everything's good. Looking back. All right, we're not doing no audible. All right, we're good. Middle line. Hey, Mike. All right, we're good. Got about 8 seconds left. I'm gonna run this clock down. All right, 6, 5, all right, tap the shoulder. Nebraska sucks. Nebraska sucks, hit! I never snapped a day in my life. On the money. Dead center. That's what I'm aiming for.
All right, so yeah, that's where you are from the stress of it. And look, Seth is obviously going somewhere else to play. I think that's best for him. You're not going to be able to move past that at Alabama. People aren't going to let you. And I hate it for him. I hate for any college athlete, a former Division I player myself. It's so stressful to screw up and to screw up in front of millions of people and hurt your own team. The stress that he must feel from that is, I have a lot of empathy for the guy. I really do. And now, granted, that wasn't my team. Maybe I'd be less empathetic if it had been the Vols. But I'm sure he did his best. And it's just unfortunate when you screw up on a big stage, it's difficult. So I wish him the best wherever he goes. And he's probably a heck of a center. He's just having some issues hiking the ball from time to time, and he needs to work them out or move to guard. If you can play center, you can certainly play guard. Center is the toughest position out there just about. You've got to be able to do 100 different things. So anyway, I wish him the best. But that's just, look, Alabama people are upset, and I can't blame them. Now we're going to talk about George McIntyre. He is a 5-star quarterback that we are really trying to get for 2025, and he's going to be making a decision here pretty soon, and it's looking pretty good for our Vols for a multitude of reasons. And this is on A to Z Sports by Zach Reagan, and it talks about recent comments that he made that look really good for the Vols. And, of course, he's been our top recruit for 2025, the 6'5". He's basically another Nico type of player. He's the number 1 player in the state of Tennessee, number 2 quarterback in the nation, number 9 overall. He's expected to choose between us, Alabama, and LSU. A final decision date has not been announced, but it's supposed to be in the next couple of weeks. He talked to Chad Simmons about his recruitment, and one comment he made seems to bode well for the Vols. I would agree with this. He said, "I've always visited those 3 schools, but 2 have always stood out." I think that's Alabama and Tennessee. He said, "It's a one-on-one battle between the 2 schools, and it's a very tight between them. When I pick, the head coach will matter a lot. Then the family feel, fit within the system, and the culture are other key factors." Now, what have we heard from every recruit that has come to Tennessee? The family feel. We've heard that a million times, and they really like Josh Heupel. They like the head coach, and they really like the culture. Now, Tennessee's got a very good culture. There's no doubt. Now, we're going up against Alabama. Now, look, Nick Saban's one of the greatest. Well, he's probably the greatest coach of all time in college football. But is he going to retire soon? That's one thing I have to question. And I don't know that he can answer that question to a recruit. It said, "Are you going to be here for 3 years?" Maybe. Is he going to say for sure? He got 72 years old. And he doesn't like NIL, and he does not like the transfer portal. It's annoying as crap. And being a head coach right now is extremely hard work. You're constantly 12 months out of the year working. There's no break, ever.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear.
So I think this bodes extremely well for Tennessee, and I think George McIntyre is going to be committing to us pretty soon. And it makes sense because Nico will have been here 2 years. If he comes in 2025, it means Nico's probably going to be here 1 more year, and then George could take over, or it might end up being a player we currently just got in Jake Merklinger. But if I'm George McIntyre, I'm thinking I'm the guy because that's how all quarterbacks think. So needless to say, I'm fired up about George McIntyre. I think he would really get our 2025 recruiting class off to a great start. You get that top-level quarterback, and then he starts recruiting for you. And a lot of players want to go where the top quarterbacks are, and top quarterbacks want to play for Josh Heupel because, as I've told you many times, we are the new Miramar.
The elite, best of the best. We'll make it better.
And Josh Heupel will make you better. Absolutely. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me continue to cover my Vols and, of course, all the big stories in the SEC and the college football playoff, all that stuff. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit this little button. I'd appreciate it. And right over here's the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we will see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.